that patient stable. A lot of our employees, of course, are out working around the clock to ensure that we are making repairs where we have had a number of breaks. As you know, today the weather has warmed a bit. Never thought I thought that 35 degrees would be warm, but it is relative to where we've been. And that's a good news, bad news scenario, because that means we are anticipating some additional line breaks or main breaks in certain areas, which is normal. That would normally happen. We also have a number of employees working very, very hard to get our pumping stations all back in good shape so that we can get the pressure up at all of our service locations around the community. We are focusing, of course, on making sure that hospitals, prisons, and certainly the airport area, we're trying to work to make sure that all areas get back to where they need to be, but we're focusing in on certainly on critical areas as well. And in just a minute, Nick Newman, our Vice President of Engineering and Operations, is going to share some numbers with you, some statistics. A few things have changed since yesterday. And again, as a trend, I would say that this is a day where we've seen improvement over yesterday. Probably couldn't have said that yesterday, that we had seen improvement from the day before. But I think today we've seen a little bit of improvement, and Nick will get into that a little bit more. I want to reiterate to everyone how important it is to continue to follow information on our official website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the official MLGW information offerings that we provide. That's where you will find your best information about what's going on. Also want to remind everyone with regards to the boil water advisory that was initiated on Thursday, that is still in effect. And again, just to remind, the recommendation is in the advisory is boiling water for up to 3 minutes. If you are going to consume it, or if it's going to wash off food that you will consume, it is not necessary. There's no contamination. We've detected no contamination in the water. It is not necessary that you do this for other things like bathing, hand washing, what have you. But anytime, if you're brushing your teeth or if you're going to drink it or otherwise consume it, you do want to make sure you follow that advisory. So again, a lot of work still ahead of us. We have been seeing some steady progress. We are still asking customers through Monday, midday on Monday through noon on Monday to do their best to curtail their water usage, making sure that you limit things like showers. If you can, please defer things like clothes washing, things that are really just keep it down to the absolute essentials. That will help us in our current situation. We still have a lot of situations where there are line breaks on our customers' side, on the customer side of the meter, maybe inside of homes or places of business. We are dealing with those by going out and shutting off the water at the meter to make sure that we cap those off. So we're doing all we can to make sure that we are keeping up. And I know that these are challenging times. We know that many in our community are dealing with a number of issues, from the pandemic to other issues. And we are aware of that. We have employees dealing with that. And we are family as well. And so we do recognize that, and we're doing our best to make sure that we are as quickly and as safely as possible working to restore water service to where it should be. We're very, very grateful that, we've issued the boil water advisory, grateful that you can do that because we're still able to deliver gas and electricity to your homes and business. We're able to do that so that you can actually boil the water. By the way, someone asked this in another forum, boiling water can be done, of course, stovetop. It can be done in a microwave. So the real key there is just getting that water to a boiling point for 3 minutes to make sure that just as a precaution, this is a precautionary advisory, that would accommodate. So with that, I'm going to ask Nick Newman to give you some more updated information on numbers, where we are. Nick, you want to share that?
Yeah, JT. Let me pop it up here. Okay, so what we've done is we've kind of tried to get our data to kind of inform you folks where we are. Like JT said, if this was a patient, they would still be critical. So we are saying that our water system is in the red. So we're going by the red, yellow, green kind of standard. And I'll go through that in just a minute. But overall, we are still in the red status. We have seen some improvement, but we're still critical. So that top line there, you see we're using an average 155 million gallons a day. And that down below there, you'll see that we're at 106 million gallons is what we typically use this time of year. Now, that's not an exact match because there could have been something going on this time last year, but it is showing us the trend as far as how much water that we are pushing out to our distribution system. So to the right there, you'll see that we each day we are using more water is being sent to the distribution system. And what JT talked about a minute ago as far as our pipe ruptures and our customer services that are freezing and breaking and fire protections, that's contributing to that increase in load. So that's part of the problem, that we have an increase in load due to the line breaks and customers' lines. So if you look at what we've done so far as repairs for our ruptured mains, this week or since the 15th, we have repaired 53 mains. Right now we have 7 mains, and that number has probably changed since I've gotten on the call before, but we're seeing the trend today of the mains increasing as it warms. And those repairs are being made by our water distribution area, and they are doing those today. So that's one part of the problem as far as the demand being sent out. The second part, if I come down here, we've gone out and cut off 2,295 services to homes now and businesses, and that's not cut off due to non-payment. That's either the customers requested that cut off because they have broken pipes in their house, or their lines are froze, or they have no water. Additionally to that, people call in, and our own folks go out and find that they'll see water running out of a building or out of a door, and they let us know that. So that is a ruptured line that we go out and turn off ourselves. So if you see the data for from the 15th on these cuts, we started out with 60 a day, and you can see how the numbers have progressed through yesterday. Now, we don't have data for today. We know how many we're working, but these are all completed tickets that we have done. So that also contributes to the pressure loss on the system and more demand being put on our pumping stations. So the second part of that, which we've talked about quite a bit, is our water well production. Right now we have 98 wells in service, and we have the capability of 134 wells to run. So we are at 73% of our wells that we can run, we are running. So that's 73% of our wells. So if you look at each one of our pumping stations around the county, and I think we've talked about those before, if you rate each one of those pumping stations, red being they as right now this changes. If you look at Mowry Station today, it may be red, tomorrow it may be yellow. It's depending on the pressure loss, the ability to fill the reservoir, and the ability to keep producing water to the system. So if you look, if they're in the red, that means we can't fill the reservoir and we can't maintain pressure out of that station. If they're in the yellow, we are able to fill the reservoir today, but we can't keep the pressure out in the distribution system, and that's why we're seeing the low pressures. And if they're in the green, we're able to fill the reservoir and also deliver acceptable pressure to our customers. So that's kind of where we are as on the data for right now. Like JT said, we are seeing a slight improvement today, and we're going to continue to work until we get the pressure stabilized. So when we get to a point to where, and we've been asked several times, when do we expect this emergency to be over with? As soon as we can get the pressure stabilized throughout the system, and there's state mandates on what pressure we have to maintain, which is over 20 pounds PSI throughout the distribution system. Our water lab we'll go out and take samples throughout the county and have those samples tested or test them themselves and make sure that there is no issues with our drinking water. Once that's done and we certify that through the state, then we will be able to ensure that our water is safe to drink again. And it's about an 18 to 24 hour process to have that water tested and get the results back. So that's just kind of a snapshot of where we are today. And we'll give you these updates daily. That's all I had, JT.
Thank you, Nick. And again, I just want to reiterate that a lot of our crews continue to work as we speak. I'm planning to get back out with some of them this evening. I was out with some last night, but I will tell you, those are our heroes. They're out there in grueling weather and really doing a great job. So we're just continuing to ask them to be safe as they work on this restoration. There's still a lot of hazards out there with ice and water, and they're having to spend a little bit more time in some cases finding the problem just because of snow coverage, which we know will be melting some today and tomorrow. So that will help us. And but we're looking forward to, as quickly as possible, getting things back to stability. So, the patient moves from critical to fair and from fair to stable. So that will be the red, yellow, green order as I see it. And we're looking forward to that. So with that, Gail, we'll take questions if there are any.
I don't see any hands up right now.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions? Let me see who's here. Chris, do you have anything?
Yeah,
Nick?
I was listening in on the executive session with City Council, and there was some discussion about the 5-year plan in terms of improving the water system. Can you give us a little bit more background on, has that begun, in the future, when that 5-year plan, improving this system, when that's complete? Do we expect that these kind of problems will not happen again if we see unprecedented cold like this?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. One thing I'll tell you is, and being in the utility industry for a long time, Nick and I both, you can bet that there will be incidents that will occur predominantly due to weather and other situations that will impact adversely your ability to deliver the services that you're providing. And we see it in electric, we see it in gas, we certainly see it in water. And so I would tell you that the unprecedented duration of this cold weather has taken its toll on the infrastructure that we have. Now, to your question regarding the plan, the 5-year service improvement plan that we rolled out last year, that we were able to get started on it. Rate increases went into effect in July, and we had bond issues in September. So again, latter part of the year is kind of when we were able to get started. So we're really just in the first year of that 5-year plan. And there are a number of things that are associated with that, in particular on the water side. You heard Nick talk about wells, the one that we're at 73% of available wells that are producing water. That's really where it all begins at our production facilities. And part of our infrastructure improvement plan includes the construction of new wells and rehabbing some of those water pumping stations as well. So we are just getting started on that. And Nick, you can elaborate if you'd like, but for sure, we want to make sure that infrastructure is as good as it can be. Some of our infrastructure goes back to the 30s and 40s. Some of our wells are more than 50 years old. And so we do have a lot of dated infrastructure in our water system. Nick, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you covered it. Other than just the unprecedented weather, below freezing temperatures for that extended period, that was part of the issue. And then infrastructure, of course, like JT said, the age of it and the issues with it are also a contributing factor. But I think the 40s were the last time that we had temperatures this low for this extended period.
And just remember too that the weather as it was is probably, there's no way to say, but I can assure you that even with the infrastructure plan, had we waved a wand and infrastructure had been updated, that we have planned to do with this type of weather, we would still have had some challenges to deal with, without a doubt. So it is important that we continue to stay focused. We're going to make improvements on our system and do the best we can to defend against the weather challenges that we have. And that's certainly why we have all of our, wells, all of our water pumping stations, all of those systems are tied together to help serve our customers. And so a great job in the design of it. So we're looking forward to seeing it get better.
Okay, so before we go to Ned, I need to make an announcement. Our safety department would like, is asking the public to please slow down when they see utility workers in the street. Crews are being splashed with water from the traffic speeding by. So please, our employees, they're leaving home every day. They're leaving their families to make sure our customers have utility services and they don't complain. They come in when we call them. Please just make sure that you're cautious when you're driving by so that they're safe. Thank you, Ned.
Yeah, if we could ask, sorry, hear a little more about the pump situation. I know we're at 72% up right now. What would that look like on a normal day to maintain normal operations? And then Nick, I think yesterday you were describing sort of the pumps as the biggest driver of our problems. Do we see that shifting as more pumps come online, but more water lines break with the thaw?
Yeah, so, well, it's both problems. It is the breaking lines, the freezing lines, the burst line. That's part of the problem, right? But the wells are the other part. So we have gotten on, and I don't know if I showed that data. I did. I didn't mention it though, did I? On that sheet, we have repaired 14, got back running 14 more wells that we typically don't get to run. So I'm sorry, the first part of your question is how many do we typically have running?
Yeah, what would a normal day look like? How many would be up to maintain pressure?
So we've actually increased how many we normally run to try to help with the issues on the distribution side. So, and I don't have an exact number of an average day, because what they do is they shut them on. Some will run for a while and they'll shut those off, and others will run for a while. That's in our operations plan. But they have repaired several that the 14 is what we repaired, and some of those have even repaired twice. But I'm not sure exactly what our total complement is to maintain our pressure.
Did that answer your question, Ned?
Yeah, so I guess it is more, the water mains, we can repair the pumps on that side, but we're gonna have to wait and see how many more breaks and things out in the field will need to be fixed.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, you saw the demand at that, and I could put it back up there. The demand on the mains break size and the ruptured mains and the service, you can see how that's getting more each day. So that's, yeah, you're right. We are having to deal with that more, and we're going to continue doing that as it gets warmer. Sorry
Right.
to get that one out.
All right, Rebecca?
Hey, I think I heard in the executive section that it was 55 to 60 water main breaks. I was wondering how many were fixed at this point, and also how long does it take to actually fix them? How long does that process usually last for?
Sure. So those 55 have been repaired. Those are repaired mains. We are presently now, I've been on these calls for about 3 hours now. So we had 7 today. That was earlier today. I don't have an updated number right now on how many we are presently repairing. And as far as how long they take, that's a pretty big variable too. It depends on how deep they are. Some of our mains, most of our mains are around 4 feet. Sometimes they're deeper. We have larger mains that take longer, smaller mains. Some of our quicker mains, we can go in the 6 and the 8 inch and repair those anywhere to 2 to 3, sometimes 4 hours on those. But our larger mains sometimes take a little longer. So it depends on what they're dealing with. One thing that we have been dealing with, and we do every winter, is locating where the main is broke. You would think it would be easy, but there's a lot of things underground. Sometimes a water main will break, and it'll find a way to pop up out of the street, 20 feet down the road, or come out in the drains. So locating the main is where the main is burst is part of the issue. And you may see our crews out there where they bar, and there was a good video one of y'all showed the other night, where you could see the holes where they barred holes in the asphalt to try to see where that water's coming from. So it's a variable on how quickly they can find it, and kind of the obstacles in the way to repair it.
Okay, Chris Blank.
Hey there, do you guys have any sort of outage map like the electricity that folks do, where we can see where there's high pressure or no pressure, anything like that?
We don't presently have that. What we are working on is a map to show you where the main breaks are taking place. That map isn't quite ready yet. We are working to get that completed, so we can show you that. But as far as the pressures go, we have pressure points throughout the system that tell us where they are, but we don't have a map that really shows where the pressures are lower.
Can you just can you tell us which neighborhoods right now, or just areas of town, are most affected by low water pressure?
You're muted, Nick. Nick, you're muted.
I muted myself. Sorry about that. I was already unmuted. I can tell you where they were earlier today. Like I said, I've been on these calls for a while today, but earlier today we were experiencing pressures in the downtown area, also in kind of the midtown area around Regional 1. We're still experiencing pressures down in Southeast Memphis, which I guess I was asked exactly where that is. That's say Hickory Hill area south up out to the county line and down to the state line. Areas around the airport were also having low pressures. But, you know, those are some of the ones that we're dealing with now. But we're actually having the area that saw it first and probably still have the biggest issue is the Shelby Forest, or northwest part of the county. A lot of those customers out there have been without water for a couple of days. So that was the area that we saw first, and that area is still, still has no water pressure out there at all. So that's a few of the areas. Now that changes throughout the day, depending on if we have an issue with the well or a pump or another, if we have a broke main in a location, that will drop the pressure down. So it moves around, but those are the areas we've had most of the issues with today.
Just one last question. This may be kind of ridiculous, but if your water is really coming out of your faucet, like if you have really good pressure in it coming out of your kitchen sink, is the water safer to drink than, say, if it's just kind of trickling out elsewhere in town?
I would, well, that's a tough question, because just because your pressure is good at that one particular time, it could be pushing water from another area that was stagnant at some other time that may have had the issue. But like JT has said, and I've said, we haven't found any issues as far as contaminants in our water system. That, you know, it's hard to say. You want your mains to be pressurized. So you would think if you're getting a good flow of water out, yours is pressurized. But you don't know down the pike at some point in time, a previous time where we had some issues and the pressure was dropped and now they're picked back up. But it's a tough question to answer, but I'll try to do the best I can.
And I will follow up, Nick, with that to just say, regardless of the pressure flow from your faucet or in a person's home or business, until that boil water advisory is lifted, please, we'd ask all customers to adhere to that. So that's probably the best advice right now, regardless of the flow from your particular. But it is a good question.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we have any other questions? I see two reporters just joined us. Do either one of you have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Demetria Wilborn with WRAG.
Okay.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My question is, we have seen reports, and you may have seen the videos or images online of people claiming to have brown water. Now, I know you said there's no indication of contamination, but can you kind of clear some of that up for people who may be seeing that?
Sure. Yeah, we will. We get, there's brown water. We get those comments from time to time. Nick can address that in terms of what that likely is. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. So our water out of our aquifer has natural occurring iron in the water. And all the water station or water plants that we have they help to reduce that iron that's in the water, and we try to get as much of it out. It's naturally occurring. So as it gets out in the distribution system, that iron sometimes settles out and gets on the inside of our pipes. So it kind of settles out in our pipes. So when we have disturbances like this, as far as, pressure drops, pressure changing directions, it'll essentially, it stirs up the water main, the water inside the water main. So you will get some of that iron out of the pipe itself. The best thing to do is to, to flush that water out. It will run clear. Now, right now is probably a tough time to do that because you don't have pressure. But that's what it is. It's iron inside the pipe that's getting flushed by changes in pressures.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so do we have any other questions?
Gail, I have one more question here. Chris Luther with WMC Action News 5. People are asking, what exactly can you do? I guess the do's and don'ts with your water. For example, can you take a shower? Can you wash your hands? What exactly constitutes consuming? I mean, can you make pasta with this water because it's boiling? I don't know. Can you guys describe what you can and cannot do with the water?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the best way to explain it, I think, is if you're going to consume it in any way, whether that be drinking or you're going to wash off food with it or mix your food in it, or any way the water will be consumed, it's advised that it be boiled for up to 3 minutes prior to that. So for me personally, just to give you all an idea, I'm boiling a kettle of water and I'm gonna just boil it and let it settle and cool off. And that's what I'll use to make coffee or tea or whatever. That's the way I'll do that. Now, when it runs out, I'll boil some more. So, or use it to wash off fruit or vegetables, I'll use that same water. Or if you have bottled water, certainly that would work as well. You could use bottled water for making coffee, tea, or whatever. So it's fine for clothes washing, hand washing is fine, shower. We just, again, reiterate that through Monday noon, we're asking them, customers to curtail as much of that as they can until while we work on getting these pressure back up. Nick, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you answered it. If you're going to ingest it in your body, it needs to be boiled. Anything outside of that, showers and all, you're good.
Yeah.
And how important is it that people conserve? I mean, how much help will that be to the system if people do cut back? How critical is that?
Well, that's really important because one of the things that we're trying to do, as you may have heard Nick say earlier, going all the way back to the pumping station location, which is where we, generate all the water that we push out on our system. We're really trying to make sure that we can build up enough water volume in our reservoirs there so that we can have the adequate pressure out on the system. And to the extent that, because we know we got water that we're losing through breaks and on the main side, as well as on the line, some of them serving customers. So to the extent that if we, in a perfect world, if we could wave a wand and have no excess water being used except where there were breaks and it were there for a long enough time, we'd know where to go. We could go fix all that and be done with it. So minimizing the usage by customers helps us to be able to get the system back into a good shape. So it's really important that we try to make sure we do that. Be attentive, to that. You want to add some of that, Nick?
No, I think you answered it good. Well,
Okay.
sure.
Thanks, guys.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay,
And real
so
quick, the noon Monday goal we're looking towards, is that just based on temperature, or are we expecting to have more maintenance performed by then? And could that date move?
Yes, both, and we will update the community. We will update the public if that's going to change. We set that on yesterday. Was it yesterday or Thursday, Nick? I can't remember, but we set that a day or two ago as a target. We are going to try to make a call. We should know something late tomorrow, so we'll try to make a call in advance of that in the event that it needs to change, or if it's okay, we'll try to let everyone know, of course, well in advance of that.
is that all, Ned?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
are there any other questions before JDT does a close? Okay,
Well, look,
JT.
thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I do know that these are taxing times. We are well aware of that. Our employees live and work here, and this is our community. I do want to tip my hat to the community leadership. Many of you know that the City Council and the Mayor's Office will be offering free water beginning tomorrow morning at 9:30 at various locations. I believe we're going to post those on our website. It's posted on the City of Memphis website as well. And so we really appreciate the cooperative spirit, leadership shown there, as well as from our municipalities around the community that have helped step up and have helped us during this time to help with our pressures in different areas, Arlington and Germantown, Bartlett's we've been able to lean on so many, Collierville, and they've been very helpful. Of course, the infrastructure in those areas are a little bit newer. And so they probably are not seeing as much of a problem as we are. So we're just grateful to see that cooperative spirit in times like these. I come from a community where we've had hurricanes down on the Gulf Coast for years. I grew up in that area, worked in a utility in that area. And I know that after challenges like this, when you see the community come together with the resilience of people, it makes a big difference. So that's something we just appreciate everyone being patient as we move through these next few days and work towards getting the system back to a stability level that we know to come and enjoy. So again, thanks. I want to thank everyone for their patience and assistance as we go through this. And we'll do our best to keep everyone informed on where we are as we move forward. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Stay safe.
All right. Be blessed.